Hi, everybody. This is Tiffany from TacCon and Range Master, and it is my great pleasure, honor, and privilege to present to you one of the veterans of TacCon, one of the most experienced instructors who's ever taught at TacCon, Mr. John Holschen. John, how are you doing today?
I am excellent. Thank you. It's great to see you. And I'm so much looking forward to TacCon as I do every year.
So am I. And I'm also looking forward to everybody learning about your two classes that you're presenting. But first, for anyone who is not familiar with you, please introduce yourself to the TacCon family.
Absolutely. So I am John Holschen. I own a company called West Coast Armory North in Everett, Washington. We're an indoor range, a gun store, and a training organization. The training organization is really my passion. That's what interests me. And we're probably one of the busiest in the Pacific Northwest. We've trained about 7,500 students over the last 5 years. So that's where my passion is, my energy is, and I love doing it.
That is awesome. So now, without further ado, let's talk about the courses that you're going to be presenting at
You know what?
TacCon.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I really should have said something more about my background other than that. So I kind of
Okay.
stopped when I shouldn't have. Let's redo that. And I'll add one more sentence.
Sure, no worries. Actually, you know
Sorry.
what? No, that's fine. Let me let's see.
Just
I'm thinking I'll just keep going and then I'll
yeah, we'll
cut
just
out.
keep going and
We'll
we'll
start
go
over.
from
Let
there.
me start over and
Yeah,
then can you do the whole thing
absolutely.
again?
Yeah, I'll just do the whole thing.
Awesome.
Perfect. I'm sorry.
No,
I
no
used to do
worries.
these in one take.
That's okay. No worries at all. All right, here we go. Hey guys, this is Tiffany from TacCon and Range Master, and I'm super, super, super psyched to introduce you guys to one of the most experienced trainers to present at TacCon. He's been coming to TacCon since I was a wee pup, and he is gracing us with his presence yet again this year. So lucky us, lucky us, lucky us. John, it's so good to see you, my friend. But for those who don't know you, please introduce yourself to the TacCon family.
Hi, folks. I'm John Holschen. I own West Coast Armory North. We're an indoor range, a gun store, and a training organization in Everett, Washington. Training's my passion. We stay pretty busy at it. We've trained about 7,500 students in the last 5 years. Prior to that, I worked for the U.S. government for about 30 years. 20 of that in the military, the other 10 with other government agencies. And during that time, I was involved in developing a couple of programs that were designed to improve personal security and safety for U.S. folks that were working abroad in high risk areas. And one of the things I realized is that many of the lessons from those courses are equally applicable to private citizens, concealed carry folks like all of us. And that's what I really focus on and try and bring to my training programs.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm guessing you're still at the range, right? Is that the sound of freedom I'm hearing
Yeah,
in the
you're
background?
hearing some shooting in the background. Yeah,
That's
hopefully
right.
not too distracting, but
No, no, that's
I'm
fine.
around it so much I don't even notice.
Well, that's a good problem to have. That is
It is.
definitely fun.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait to tell everybody about the two programs that you are bringing to TacCon this year. The first is called Surviving the Extreme Event. And I believe you've taught something similar at TacCon before. So tell folks who haven't attended this block what it's all about.
Absolutely. So surviving the extreme event, whether that's an active shooter, and of course, we've got flavors of active shooters now. We've got things like the Las Vegas sniper attack. Who would have thought something like that could happen? We have things like the Bataclan attack in Paris, where you had multiple groups of people that were moving around the area. So active shooter events are something we're going to look at. Things like the Boston Marathon bombing. A little closer to home these days is the civil unrest, rioting, you're out driving, and now you find yourself running up against something you didn't expect. Um, the point is, oh, these situations are very rare. Obviously, if you're in them, they're very critical events. So I start off by analyzing those events so we can look and think about what type of skills might we need, what sort of thought processes might we need as private citizens in those situations, and then how can we go about getting that training or developing those mental skills and attributes that would serve us well in those situations. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and every time you've presented this material, I have the same question for you, but you kind of answered it. You sort of read my mind there, John, and that was what do you say to the person who thinks about attending this class, but who says to himself or herself, oh, it's such a long shot. That'll never happen to me. I don't need that class.
Absolutely. And that's why, at the very least, I think we should spend, an hour or two talking about it. That way you can think about it on your own. And, when we do risk assessments, anybody that's done formal risk assessments, you look at two factors. You look at frequency and you look at criticality. And although this may be a very frequent event, a very infrequent event, the criticality, on the other hand, can be extreme, particularly if your family's with you in that type of situation. So it's not something that, I build whole courses around where we spend days and days working on this. But I think it's really important for folks to think about it, so that if they're ever in a situation, they've got a mental framework to operate within.
Like so kind of like what John Hearn likes to say, it's not so much the odds, but it's the stakes,
There
right?
you go. Exactly. Yeah.
So now let's move to a new program that you're bringing. And this is a live fire, I believe. Yeah, this is a
It
live
is.
fire program called Training for Accuracy Against Animated Threats. I love this topic and I can't
Uh,
wait to hear you tell us about it. What can folks
yeah.
expect in this class?
Well, so where this course came from, or this material came from, is we found that whether we were working with law enforcement officers, private citizens, or military folks, they shot qualifications, they shot standards, and the folks that I'm working with, they did well. They had a history of scoring well on qualifications and shooting standards. Then we put them in scenarios with simunitions firearms, paint marking firearms, and the hit ratio was far, far less than would have been expected based on their performance on qualifications and drills and standards. So usually this is attributed to the stress of the event, and oh, you're in a real situation now, it's stressful and somebody's trying to kill you. Well, certainly that could be a factor. But when we looked at it as well, we realized that just from the mechanical point of view, from the skills point of view, we might not be doing a very good job. And what do I mean? They had never shot on or at anything other than an absolutely stationary target. So I was lucky enough to shoot on some fancy ranges with moving target systems and all that. But I don't get to do that nearly as often as I would like to either. So I set out to I challenged myself. Could I come up with drills that would address this issue and give people something to work on that would improve their ability translate over to shooting at an actual animated threat, someone who's moving? It isn't just you come out of recoil in the same place and you shoot again. And so I had a great laboratory for this. I was doing a lot of scenario-based training for some military folks at the time. And what we documented is after doing the static range drills, need no fancy equipment, hit ratios were improved over 50%. In many cases, quite a bit more than that. So we think we found an answer that, if not perfect, at least is very, very helpful. And that's what I'm going to share in this session, is show folks those drills and how to think about it. All comes back to the thinking again, how to think about it and make this work so that they ensure that they're practicing things that will translate well if they're ever in that situation where they actually have to engage another human who's trying to hurt them.
Ah, that's so amazing, John. Thank you so much for this. I can't tell you how excited I am to see something other than classes where we shoot at stationary, two-dimensional targets. Not that that isn't great, and not that that isn't one way to build fundamental skills, but you're pushing the envelope. And also, I think this would be really neat to give people something to take back with them, so that they no longer get to make the excuse of, well, I don't have fancy moving targets.
Exactly. I mean,
So
it's got
that's
to start with
great.
those foundational skills no matter what. There's
That's right.
nothing, we've got to start and build those. But then we need to always, my take is I'm always looking at it, looking for where are the gaps in my training? What do I need to address that I might not be addressing? And this is one of those areas.
Awesome. And no, there's nobody better to teach it than you. I cannot
Uh,
wait. And I know
nice.
everybody at TacCon is going to be excited to attend this class. So once again, folks, John's live fire class is training for accuracy against animated threats, and his classroom block is called Surviving the Extreme Event. John, can't wait to see you, and hopefully your better, stronger, smarter, beautifuler
Yeah,
other
exactly.
half. I'm going
Yes.
to keep my
My
fingers
training
crossed for that.
partner.
That's right. That's right. So give her a big hug and a kiss from me, and hopefully I'll see her in March in Dallas along
Yeah,
with you, my friend. Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Awesome. Thank you.